3, 2, 1, liftoff.
Cannabinoid Connect, the nation's most diverse cannabis-related podcast.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Kevin. Thanks for having us. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
And before we get started, I want to just clarify. So are you guys, is it brother-in-laws? Is that it?
Yeah, this is a family business, and he happens to be my brother-in-law. He's married to my sister, so
Nice.
she keeps him in line for me.
Yeah, and our lead engineer, or one of our lead engineers, and our lead machinists are brothers. And our other lead engineer's name is suspiciously spelled similarly to Robbie's last name. So who knows?
Oh yeah. It's off by one letter, which is a little strange, but it's very cosmic and ironic. So it's a good sign. I take it.
Ironic.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I loved the story of family-owned businesses, so I can't wait to hear about, the origin story and all that. And Robbie, it's great that you have HR to kind of help you in that regard with your sister. So keep him in line. Yeah.
Yeah. You know how it is. Business is always tricky, and she's actually beyond HR. She's an attorney. And,
I'm joking.
She's
I'm
a very
kidding.
smart
I meant
woman.
Yeah,
I totally got it. I got you. Bring it on. Keep it coming.
I don't know if she's HR or she's like, end it all now.
No.
Call it.
Awesome.
We got this.
Well, let's kick this off. Let's talk about, this idea of revolution vaping as we know it, and I want to start by saying thank you so much for sending me my own product itself, the founders edition, I believe, of the Beam. So I got to tell you guys, I really enjoyed it, and not only the fact that it really preserves the flower of the extract that I was smoking, but also the ease of use. I kind of mentioned before we started recording that I've been sent other products not similar. They didn't heat extract, but they heated flower, and they were very difficult to use. There was a lot of steps and user error, and it just, I don't know. So this, I gotta say, thanks for just the simplicity, the ease of use. But let's kick it off and talk about the first and foremost, the no metal advantage, right? So tell me about how you're eliminating metal contamination in vaping devices, and how that's helping in terms of safety and flare preservation.
So our technology uses a special ceramic that has a highly refractory point, which means it basically takes very high temperatures. And it's a very pure ceramic. They use in aerospace. And this ceramic is what we use in order to kind of exchange the light energy into heat energy. And using the ceramic, it allows for us to avoid metal. And when you have your medicine, anything with terpenes, it has a interaction with metal, and it tends to cause contaminants such as benzenes, oxides, other things that are just unhealthy and you don't want to be smoking. Besides that, we also don't have a wick, which is fairly standard. And I know that most people who have smoked a cartridge know that halfway through it starts to taste kind of a little burnt. Quarter way through, it starts to really taste off. And I'm proud with our cartridges to say that all the way through, you get a green flavor all the way to the very end. So that's one problem that we were able to solve.
The laser also, the fact that it's heating from the outside means we don't need resistive technology or wires or anything to actually heat the ceramic. And I think that's really the metal-free difference, where other things may have ceramic wicks, but they're powered by wire. The wire's heating up underneath the ceramic, and ceramic's porous, so you still potentially have that access to wire or leaching. And you have e-waste. The cart is filled with metal and wire or whatever, where our carts are just empty, plastic for the Beam. Later models will be borosilicate, but point is, there's nothing in it. It's just a cup. It holds your material, and the ceramic wick basically absorbs material from the bottom, and you vaporize it in the top. So you get, like Robbie said, you get that pure taste because the wick absorbs all the material in the cart. There's not like dregsy sort of remainder that's wedged in between a metal plate, which tends to be the taste you get with standard carts.
Yeah. And with pure light on the ceramic leads for just a very good formula for excellent flavor.
I mean, the taste is just, yeah, unparalleled. It's also instant, so you maintain your terpene profile. You don't have a
That's
gradient
a
ring.
really good point. You know, the just the fact that most devices just the preheat just the preheat requirement that makes you that leaves it to the point where you have to burn your volatile terpenes, which are some of the tastiest terpenes in the terpene mix. So with us being able to instantly vaporize and not have a preheat system, you get full terpenes, and they're all in the profile that they should be. So, in my opinion, you get a very accurate flavor profile, much more close to what I was experiencing in the past.
And that's exactly how I would explain my experience using the product. I mean, you instantly taste everything, right? And there's no kind of burnt sensation at all, or no burnt factor, like you mentioned earlier. And it's just amazing. It sounds science fiction, right? When you talk about like pure light, like this laser beam, and it's amazing how technological innovations have made this possible. So it really is, it seems like it's setting Lumenary apart from every other product that's out there. So to that, let's talk about like the founder's journey, right? So what made you guys, like, what inspired this idea, and how did you make it come from like a vision to reality?
Well, that kind of all started with just a long night in the tent after a good camping trip, and sometimes when you can't sleep, your mind is racing, and I kind of was thinking, what's the best way, what's the ideal way, coming up with different ideas, figuring light, and then realizing I had seen a video on YouTube, and people were popping balloons with their laser pointers. And I put the two and two together, realized that's a lot of energy to the point where I took a Blu-ray sled from an old computer. I extracted the diode and was able to make my first laser pointer, and that's when I started to basically spark my bong loads with the laser, which I found, better than butane. It tastes delicious, but you want to be careful. It's a powerful light, and you want to keep it in a safe containment. And that's sort of how it all evolved, is making our taking the power of the laser and contain it in the safety of our device.
Wow. What was the reaction when you were consuming with this laser light with your bong? Like, what did your friends say? They had to.
Well, that was the point where I realized it was necessary to contain the actual reaction, because the laser's bright, and without having protective lenses to protect your eyes, it's definitely a bright laser. So our device has a special attenuated plastic where you could actually see the light reaction, and it's pretty cool. It sets for a little vapor show, and it's also just very tough. It's a bulletproof plastic
Yeah, the
that,
plastic
yeah,
it's the same. It's like the Nalgene bottle plastic. So we've run it over with cars, and
yeah,
we have
yeah.
redundant
It's
interlocks that prevent the laser from firing while the beam's open. I mean, the
Thank you.
reality is it was like a 10-year R&D process from the beginning, like, pulling out the Blu-ray to now. But we went through a few iterations, and I mean, it's tricky. It's a lot of, I mean, frankly, this kind of thing isn't developed in the United States much. Obviously, there's high tech here, but not vape technology. Most of the time, people are buying OEM products from China, and
Right.
so, and there's no school of laser vaping to attend to.
it,
So
it, it,
Robbie had
it's
to sort of make it all up.
Yeah, it sort of became its own science of thermal dynamics and all kinds of different sciences that just sort of added up to vaping with lasers, and it ended up being a good formula.
Wow. Well, as we're on the topic of the founder's journey, I mean, tell me about your journey as family members. We talked about that earlier, business partners, and how, from my understanding, your background's in music, right? And how maybe
Yeah,
that all can, in engineering, how it contributed all to the current success that y'all are seeing.
Well, I guess the inspiration of just having the music and the art behind me was enough for me to realize that I wanted to take something and push it to the next level. And that came that came with everything, including music and smoking weed. And taking it to the next level required, technology, and that was pretty much where the journey began. And I built a prototype that I think it was on a 4th of July party when I pulled it out, and I remember showing Dave and him looking at it. And this prototype was you can see a photo of it on our website. It's basically built of copper, where I just literally wrapped a copper and soldered it, and I used as a bowl. It had a actual seashell as the bowl, so it was a very organic feel to it. And that was sort of the proof of concept where it all kind of clicked, and we were realizing, wow, there is actually something to this. It not only tastes good, it doesn't, it also tastes smoother, and it looks cool, and there's a lot of benefits that I didn't even realize were going to be benefits. So
Yeah, we
yeah.
discovered a lot of this. A lot of this was just like really, really cool idea. Like felt had to be done, you know. We thought like someone had to have patented this. This is crazy, you know, and like we filed the patent, and there's a 6-month period where everything's confidential, and just because of the publishing timeline, you have no idea. So I think it might even be 9 months. So we had no idea whether someone had already filed it. So we're just waiting. And then like it, turned out they didn't. And then like we got it, it was granted, took some time. And, it was almost shocking. And we're just like, this has to be
Wow.
done. And for every time someone's like, oh yeah, like a new thing or a new toy or something, I'm like, yeah, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like we're making a laser and it's super cool. And we kept actually discovering all these amazing, like, oh, there's no coil. Oh, people are going to love that. Oh, it's immediate. Oh, that means you don't burn off it. Oh man, it turns out it's really power efficient because you only turn the laser on for a little while. And it's like
Right.
all this shit. And we're like, we just thought it'd be cool. But like, turns out
one of
it's
my
kind of a
biggest
game changer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
one of my biggest lessons was realizing that coming up with a concept is one thing, and an idea, sure, you could think of many ideas, but to bring it to a point where it's actually, I don't know how you say it, idiot proof,
Right. Well, you said, easy to
and
use, right? Our first version
yeah,
was not easy to use. And so we tore it
Oh.
apart. We literally we did like what Atari did with the ET games. We like went in the desert and we buried it and we made a music video. But seriously, because we were like, we don't want to, and I mean, we had buyers, and we resold that. We sent them all the new Beam, we call it the Beam 2.0 versus the Beam OG, and they're all like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" And it's like
it's
we
light
knew when
years
it works and we knew
advanced.
when it doesn't.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Well,
Well, I
yeah,
got the 2.0 to help because, like I said,
Yes.
I mean, ease of use was the first thing that came to my mind. Yeah.
that's great.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well, good.
that's
We
something
won
we've
on
been
that
working
front.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. No, let's switch gears and talk about the Beam's market differentiation, right? So let's
Mhm.
compare Luminary's technology to, say, other products in the market. Do they address common issues? Or is this something, like you said, you talked about filing a patent? Is there exclusivity here?
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, we own the patent on vaporizing material with a laser. I frankly I don't think there's many ways to do it other than how we are doing it. And we also have a patent on dry material on weed, and so there's a number of things covered there. So, I mean, look, it's different than everything else out there. There are definitely high quality vapes, and let's just all agree, vaping is way better than smoking. And the issue, smoking, when you smoke, you combust, you release all sorts of toxins and tar and crap, So, but when you vape and there's a full spectrum of technology, to very, very cheap tin coils from China or whatever that are probably burning industrial lubricant and off-gassing all sorts of crap,
Manufacturing
to
and
very
everything.
high quality, ceramic coils that are probably safe. But our technology, like we talked about earlier, is just fundamentally different, where the heat comes from the outside, not the inside. And if the heat's coming from the inside, it's heating and reheating and heating and reheating everything that's in that
Right.
cart, right? Everything's in the inside. When it comes from the outside, you don't have to keep reheating. You're able to just hit what you want to hit. And that, effectively the patent is the black substrate or any substrate absorbing light on one side and absorbing material on the other, and you only hit just, the laser is actually a fairly fine point. So it's only vapor. It creates a relatively small heat envelope. And so nothing else gets hot, but like a 1, maybe 2 square millimeter area.
What we found,
Wow.
especially compared to competitors, there's been advantages, like I was saying earlier, especially with having to preheat. That's a big, slowdown, and being able to use the product, and especially in efficiency, like how Dave was just describing, because of the localized heating, it allows for us to be so efficient where we're getting significant hits, or amounts of time of hitting, where we didn't really realize, but this is actually compared to, I know, similar competitors, it's 9 to 15 hits, where we're up at over 100 hits, and having
This is with the
easily
oil core. Yeah. At
yeah,
least.
for the oil core,
Yeah.
obviously, but just how, or even with the front load core, you would still have that many, you would still have
The
a lot
front
of
load
hits.
core is for extracts. He's using a internal
So
code that
yeah,
no one knows.
and if those that are
Yeah.
watching, I'm pulling this is what
Yeah,
you're
that's
talking
the
about for the
extract core
extract.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you
Okay.
put the
Yeah, the
material right in
extract
the
core
middle
is,
there. Yeah.
where you pack it in the front, so
Yeah.
I refer to as the front load core. But yeah, so there's
Yeah.
the extract core, which uses any materials from diamonds to dabs, and any sort of crispy sort of material. And then our liquid diamonds oil chamber uses more viscous material, something
Right.
that flows.
Yeah, and so I mean, effectively, it's the cleaning. We just been hearing from consumers and people, compared to the Puffco, you don't have to clean it every time. You don't get that crappy taste. You can keep reloading. You drop the core in alcohol for a couple of hours every couple of days, maybe. The oil core needs to be cleaned less. If the maintenance is basically pulling the back end out, maybe running the brush and some alcohol and running through the airways, but it's a lot less. And I'm not a cleaner. Robbie's seen my volcano. Like, I had a volcano that was actually a volcano.
Yeah, amazing.
It burned it crossed the road at one point. There was so much crap behind that thing. But the beam. I will say though, I've broken the beam. We even have a part of the beam called the Dave Saver, because I managed to break something and the laser hit something that it probably shouldn't, and I inhaled the whole thing.
He's a great beta tester,
no.
and has found our. Yeah, we need to find our
pig.
weaknesses, and we find them exactly.
Well, Robbie's more the guinea pig. Like, if your lungs are toast, because this is hyper clean, but getting it to hyper clean and testing it,
and
that's
so I'd say, and I've said this many times,
There's
one
some
of
trial
the
and
biggest
error in that. Yeah.
one of the biggest challenges in the trial and error of vaporization is what I consider the flavor factor. And there's no computer chip or any technology out there that can emulate the human tongue.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because that must be like the main user feedback, right? And like test results in terms of preserving the flavor integrity. Yeah.
When people are like, "Oh, we want to test your device with our machines," I'm like, "You got to taste it." This has nothing to do with testing the machine. And honestly, we call it the suckerator, because we could test various things, but without testing it. And so it was always me and Robbie, mostly Robbie. But sorry, Robbie, go ahead. Tell your travail.
No, it definitely. This is something with this device where, when you have, let's say, for instance, a steam distilled terpene compared to a CO2 distilled terpene. There's different methods to make terpenes. A lot of them are different qualities than others. This is a device where you could actually taste the difference. You could taste the difference of even the different vintages of the crops that happened this year. My friend Alien from Cannacraft, he happens to be a brilliant chemist that's been producing our terpenes and liquid diamonds.
We want to be.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Canna Refined. I blew that one. My bad, Alien.
300 miles south.
I like that.
But again, just a brilliant chemist who brought a very high quality terpene, where it showed me, if you don't have the high quality terpenes, you'll taste it in this device.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt
Mhm.
about that. And I mean, let's even take it a step further. So, I mean, let's talk about the science behind consistent terpene ratios and how this improves the quality of taste and vapor.
Sure. Yeah, I'd say one of the biggest improvements, and that would be again based around the non requirement in order to preheat. And the main thing is the volatile terpenes, which
Yeah.
volatile terpenes are those are the low temperature terpenes that they boil out at even low temperatures such as 85, even room temperature. You start to lose your volatile terpenes, and these are those micro little subtleties that you taste in a flavor that it's telling you this is the Alaskan Thunderfuck, or this is the Jack Herrera, or whatever the flavor is. It's those little volatiles that are really giving you the indicator. And when you have a system where all of the terpenes are being vaporized at the same time without any terpene being, like for instance, the volatiles being boiled out first and changing the flavor profile, this gives a very accurate terpene profile to the point where you can actually taste the difference between a an OG Kush and a sour diesel, or
Right.
something of that nature.
Right, right. Yeah. It in its purest form. I mean, so trial and error, right? We laughed about that. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of that. So do you have any
Sure.
war stories specifically that you'd like to share, or kind of the process that really went into it? Did you 10 years? I think I heard David say 10 years this took. Is that right? Of
Yeah,
R&D?
we filed for the patent in
It was
2014,
actually
I
15
believe.
that we filed the patent, but we worked for a while
Okay.
before that. It was
Yeah, and it
this has
was
been
it
an
was
Wow.
granted
enormous pain in
around.
the ass.
Yeah. It's been a bigger endeavor than we could have ever anticipated, and that's because we are literally bringing a new standard to the scene. It's like everybody was so used to the 510 cartridges. It was, everybody, it was ubiquitous with having it all tie in, and we're literally had to invent a new system for our cartridge system and everything to be a simple use, set it and forget it kind of situation. And that's been a big part of our evolution, and also just a big part of the reason why it's taken so long.
Yeah. No, I could definitely see that. So what's the company's next steps? Like, I mean, is there any product expansion plans in the
Yeah.
works, market
Oh yeah.
market entry
Yeah.
strategies? I mean, what are you guys envisioning for the
Well, I mean,
future?
God, we have a laundry list of things, but in the near term, Robbie, what you've got the sort of bong extension?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of a low-hanging fruit, but yeah, you could basically take the mouthpiece and use it with the taper of any bong, or water
Right.
rig for that matter. So you could use it to power any water rig, and
Yeah.
then beyond that, I'm working on the flower chamber, which I'm very eager to finish, which would allow us to vaporize pure flower and leaf. And I'm a purist, and I would love to have a very pure way to have my weed as well. And then we also have desktop versions. We have the hookah, where it's going to be three-way. We'll have the LEDs in there that move to the music, and it will have a whole experience, because the vapor actually sets a good little
Yeah, it
place
puts
to
on a nice
have.
show. Yeah. Near
Yeah,
term,
it
though,
puts
we're
on a cool
actually
little vapor
shrinking
show.
this technology. First of all, there's a
Yes,
patent
thank
out for
you.
a dab chamber, right? It's actually a pre-filled dab chamber that will push material into the heat envelope and will work with the beam. And so that's never been done before. You can buy a consumable with 3, 4, grams of dab butter, whatever, and basically, like you're using a Play-Doh thingy, push it right into the beam. And then, of course, we're going to shrink the beam. It'll be an oil-only device, but it'll be a pen that'll be much cheaper. And that's definitely so. I mean, the near
That's
term is
close on.
those
Yeah,
two items, and probably the weed will be after that, and the hookah after that. But so look, it's a long
we have many
road.
plans.
Yeah, but right now we're scaling the beam, and signing up
Hmm.
extractors who want to fill carts, who want a white label. I mean, we're ultimately a B2B company. You know, we're ultimately, we want everyone to have a laser vaporizer. It's Beam is a technology, not necessarily a brand. Well, it's a brand,
Right.
but you know, we're not quite PAX. We're more like 510, you know,
Right.
where everyone
Right.
can have a Beam. We just control it, you know, and everything will be powered by the Beam. So we're talking to a lot of different extractors, MSOs, whatever, about, you know, doing either white label programs or filling or both. So CBD is a big market there. The actives and functionals are a big market there. For us, eventually, the technology for nicotine will probably be very important, and potentially pharmaceuticals, because it is the most efficient way of getting material into your body is through your lungs.
And
If
pure.
it's hyper clean and hyper precise and exact, you know, especially with our dosage control with the dab container, it's very exciting. So I mean, these are billion-dollar industries that we think we're disrupting. We're swimming upstream, a very big stream. But to your point, we've got a new canoe that no one's seen, and it acts much differently than the old canoes. So
Yeah.
And being,
metaphor.
being in the trenches for so
Yeah.
long, and in the development of everything, and just you get in the dust, and you don't really realize what you have until you pull it out, and then show people and start to get that validation and the reception. And I have to say, this last version, the reception that I've been receiving has been so warm, and especially coming from people that know what they're talking about, the consumers,
Yeah, I mean, look,
the tastemakers.
we spent a lot
Yeah.
of time with people going like, I think I see vapor, you know, like years of like, oh yeah, no, you know,
Not,
okay. You know,
not
we
any
know what
longer.
that
Yeah,
looks like. And now when people are like, oh my God, we're like, okay, yeah.
it's too much now.
Thank
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
God. Because it was
We
really
actually
difficult
have three
for
different energy
years.
settings. I don't know if we talked
Yeah.
about that, but you could
Yeah.
do low, medium, and high, and it allows you to have different experiences, whether you want to just taste the terps or if you want to have just a whole dab hacking experience. It's all up to you.
We got
Hey,
everything for you.
I'm
Taste and
glad you
hack.
brought that up, because I wanted to explore the settings. So since everyone's listening and they're watching, how does that work with the changing of the settings, and
Yeah, so
then
when the beam's
yeah.
off, right? When the beam's off, if you hold the firing button down, it'll cycle through the settings. And so it starts on the setting next to the one you're on. And it'll buzz 3 times for the high setting, 1 time for the low setting, and 2 times for the middle setting. And it's white for high, green for low, blue for middle. And so the white, the average heat on, I mean, it's a laser, so it's a steady stream, but it hits the wick and depends on pretty much what's on it as far as the temperature. But
Yeah.
the heat envelope average, and we did some very, very detailed modeling on this, or photo modeling. It's not even modeling, just measuring.
Yeah.
Is about 304 degrees on green, so very low, about 364 degrees on medium, and about 397 degrees about Fahrenheit on the high. So even the high doesn't average over 400 degrees. So you're not getting that terpene burn off, which happens around 500, 600 degrees, where the terpene turns into benzene and shit starts to break down. And I mean break down. You know, chemicals change at high heat. So
Right.
we're basically 3 low temperatures
Yeah,
that produce various levels of vapor.
and even at
Yeah.
our highest temperature, it seems to govern itself where it's one of the thickest low temperature vape hits that I've
Yeah,
seen, and
it's like
that's sort
water.
of the ticket. Everybody's trying to get to that. There is a prime temperature where you're getting all of your
Sure.
cannabinoids to vaporize with your terpenes, and it's kind of it's a dance that it all when it all happens at the same time. You taste it and you
Yeah.
feel it, and
But
that's really
and
what we're
what I
doing.
love about this is the consistency, especially working with the oils, because you don't have to refill anything. It just tastes great. And like that's not something, because I remember, I won't say which brand it was, but it was like 2014, 15, when Robbie and I were just starting 16. And we went to like some event and it was the San Francisco, like, marijuana business, something. And
Yeah.
there was somebody up there talking about their thing, and it was a cool device. Again, I'm not gonna say what it was, but it was hard to use. And he's like, yeah, it's sort of like the Ferrari of vapes. You got to like know how to use it. And it's like, man, Robbie and I kept telling ourselves we can't be the Ferrari of vapes, because like
No.
you can't like stand on one foot and aim a stick north in order to get it to
Yeah.
work. It's got to be
I,
easy.
Well, it's
You know?
like good luck,
it has
right?
to
Good
work
luck
well
with
and be
that
friendly
model
to the
because
user.
people are going to want to use it. They're not going to want to take time to figure
It
out
didn't
how to
work.
use it.
That
And
model
look,
Exactly.
you kind of got one shot, right? Like if they can't figure out, they're going to put it down and be like, I'm just going to smoke a bowl and like be done with this,
Dude,
you
you
know,
only
or
Very
get
whatever
true.
it is.
one shot.
Very
And
true.
you're
Yeah.
totally right. You get one pull,
Mm.
and then it's like, I mean, people are fickle. They have no attention span, and like they've heard it all before.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
It's
Right.
either cutting it or it's not, and for what we've discovered, it seems to cut it for a lot of experienced
Yeah,
people.
I mean,
and,
look,
and
we've really gone for the early adopter community, and these, that's partly why we wanted to be on your podcast. It's like people are listening to your podcast appreciate what they're doing. They're not like, oh, I heard about weed, or maybe
Right.
not. I don't know. But the point is that
No, you're
these are
right.
people who think deeply about it.
Yeah.
And we did, on the last iteration, we sort of went a little bit more lifestyle. But the fact is, if we can convert people now, granted. These people are not necessarily mass market buyers, but at least we know we're on the right track. And it's your word or it's the expert's word that really counts down the road, because that's what's going to be indelible or durable, I should say. So
Yeah.
I think we're winning, at least so far, those hearts and minds.
Well, and it's interesting. Sometimes
Absolutely.
a lot of response I get is, wow, oh my, you don't need to change your coils. That sounds too good to be true. And
Right.
we solved a lot of issues that people were having, and we just have to break to the point and get that to be.
We have to get them to believe us.
Yeah.
Because Robbie went on Reddit and people are like, shut up. And then he made
they're like,
sent some devices out. And now they're
Or they
into
said,
it.
that's been done before, bro. We've already tried that, or they've already, it's already whatever. They'll have some excuse, right?
Yeah. They don't realize this is a game-changing device, and I've heard it from numerous people now. And even personally, I'm very picky, pot snob. I love the flavor, and for me to, when I'm using this device, I put it down, and when I think about what I want to use when I'm looking to get lifted, I'm like, I'd like to taste some terps, and I grab that.
I gotta say, it's kind of, I mean, this is a loaded word, but it's like, it's addictive, wanting to come and taste this taste because it's very unique. And I equate it to sort of like a rounder taste rather than a thinner, even if you get more vapor from a thinner pen taste, you get this nice round. And it's just like, it's just kind of, I mean, I'm smoking this Delta 8 thing, or sorry, the less than 3%, because we make a CBG that we sell. And I like the taste,
You know what I'm thinking when I hear you both talk? It's like a lot of consumers, including myself, will look to consume a various strain or type of flower or whatever based on like the feeling that it's going to give you rather than leading with the taste, because that like whatever we haven't really gotten there yet, right? But with what you guys have created, I mean, we are starting to answer that question of let's lead with taste, right? Let's actually
I think the dabbers go for taste, right?
And ironically, when the taste is right, that means that everything else is right, the terpene mix and everything, and you are getting a more full, satisfying experience.
Right, and you're getting that outcome you're looking for.
And David, I don't want to miss because I'm new to the dab world. I mean, I'm a flower and like pen guy with like oils, but this is getting me into it. Like I bought this for the first time. This like, it's like the sugary kind or whatever. It's a
gotcha.
We're converting people to higher potency.
But that's another facet of it. This brings in a new consumer type because I would have just had to rely on dab rigs or like some type of like
dab rigs
really
are crazy.
expensive.
They're big, they're blowtorchy. There are some portables, but they're cheap, they're metal, they break. I understand
and they're dangerous. I have a lot of friends out there who are literally maimed from trying to get their dab in the morning, and they're.
I gotta tell you, I burned my finger on especially the old Volcano. I can't tell you how many times. And like the Vinci, some of the old vapes, like it would get very, very, very hot. Our device does not get hot. It's a freaking laser, and it still doesn't get that.
It's so funny you brought up the burning your finger because I have a cousin that used to have a dab rig, and he'd have like rubber gloves for his fingers. Like, so it was like it's
he has to put on his gear just to smoke your weed in the morning. It's like, come on, you shouldn't have to dress up in a uniform.
Well, no, you guys have built something really cool, and I mean, again, I really appreciate you allowing me to test it out, and you know what, I like you said, it's all word of mouth. And the last thing I'll kind of say is I love the packaging as well. I mean, for those that are watching, I mean, if you're listening, you can't see it, but if you're tuning in through the video, I got an Apple feel with this. You know what I mean? It's like you're opening up a new iPhone or.
That Lumenary
So
is definitely not upside down on the side.
no,
Yeah,
not at
no,
all.
I think the packaging, it all adds up to the whole end user experience, and that's what we're going for. We learned from our first iteration, and yeah, this next one, I gotta say, has gone beyond my expectations, and I got to give it to my crew, you know, the whole crew, Sam, Jake, Jason, everybody, Guy, all of them did an amazing job on, you know, taking this device to the next level.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate your guys' time. It's been a pleasure to talk to you about all this, and we'll be sure to include, you know, links to your website in the YouTube description box so that people can visit the website firsthand. But is there anything that you want to leave the audience with before we wrap up?
Yeah, you know, thanks for your time. Check it out. I think it's worth the effort, because I think it's something that look, we think it's demonstrably better, and we hope you agree.
Yeah, I know every technology, it's always, you know, it's always a risk. You never know what you're going to get. But from what I've found and from what I've seen, I promise you guys will be very pleased.
Promise.
Yeah, I don't just endorse any product. I truly did enjoy it, and I will continue to enjoy it. And
good.
I'm now in the extract shatter / diamond / whatever else they call it game. So
have you had the did you get the oil cart where
I don't know if we sent you a CBG.
Oh, okay. Because yeah, when you you've had just the dab experience, because with the cart experience, it's more like having a
wait, is that empty?
It's empty, but I would put the oil in here, right?
Oh no, yeah. We gotta resend you a filled one, but
we'll send you
having that is just, it's a different experience. It just very set it and forget it. You know, like a cart will last many hits, and
yeah,
it's just a great thing to hand around, especially at a beach or, you know, a crowd situation.
And someone asked me today, one of our partners was like, well, how often do I have to, how long do I get before I have to replace the core? I'm like, never? Like, question mark? Like, you never have to replace the core.
Yeah,
unless you break it, which you shouldn't ever do, you know?
Right.
It's like, and that's new. People are like, oh, you don't have to replace your coil? I'm like, yeah, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you do minimal maintenance and keep it clean, you should have a good experience all the way till the end. And
till the end,
the diode should outlive
your
you.
end,
unless you're really heavy.
Your dying pup.
Your diode will live longer than you.
But you're gonna live a little longer. Exactly. You're gonna enjoy it fresh air. Not that much longer.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned it.
Built to last, guys. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, hey, thanks again. Appreciate it. And until next time, good luck to you guys.
Right on.
Can't wait to see what else you guys come out with.
Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate the time.
Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Bye.
All right.
Cannabinoid Connect, the nation's most diverse cannabis-related podcast.